Hello, Dumelang, Siyabona Gunjani. Hi everyone, welcome to One on One with Tommy Gunn, where we speak about all things boxing, pugilism, MMA, mixed martial arts. I'm your host with the most. Here with me today is Jani Hebler Westhuizen. She is Africa's #1 leading boxing promoter as a female. And she's also the CEO of Fifth Element Promotions. She's a singer, songwriter, producer, and as I said, boxing promoter. She's also the head of communication for the National Professional Boxing Promoters Association. This morning when I woke up, I went to the mirror and I said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" The mirror replied to me, "Tommy Gunn, I found a noble one. In all of the land and all of the earth, I found boxing's best. Joe, firm but fair, Cortez." Mr. Joe Cortez, thank you for being with us and joining us all the way from Las Vegas, Nevada. It is an absolute honor to have you on the show.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be on your show. We can share some of the boxing information to your fans out there, your viewers that are watching the show today.
Thank you, sir.
It's an absolute honor to share the studio with you tonight or this morning there in Vegas. Thank you so much for making the time and for allowing us to walk down your memory lane with you, because what an incredible memory lane. We did some research on you and found some information that, other than your incredible record, which leaves you the only man that went toe-to-toe with the most feared of all fighters in the world ever and be undefeated. And to be standing, not ever get knocked down or knocked out by any of them. That is incredible. Your record in itself.
A total of 995 professional outings and 984 professional boxing matches that you have refereed. You have gotten into the ring with the likes of Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Aaron Pryor, who is my most favorite African fighter of all time. Not Aaron Pryor, sorry, Azuma Nelson. But you've also gotten into the ring with Aaron Pryor, Aaron the Hawk Pryor. But Azuma Nelson is my most favorite African fighter of all time. You have been in the ring with the likes of Lennox Lewis, Vladimir Klitschko, Vitaly Klitschko, Mike Tyson, and also Riddick Bowe and Evander Holyfield. There is nobody that matches what you have done in the world of boxing. Any man walking the face of the earth is in awe of Joe Fair but Firm Cortez.
Thank you. Yeah, it was, there's you said there were 190 something professional fights. But, if you look at BoxRec, they got me started professionally in 1979 when I actually started in 1977.
Oh, wow. So
I
there's
don't
still 2 years unaccounted for.
Yeah, 2 years. But I didn't do my first world championship fight until I refereed Aaron Pryor and Miguel Montilla. That was my first world title fight.
Wow.
And my dream was to do just one.
Wow,
I ended up.
And then almost 1,000 later.
Yeah, but when boxing gets in your blood, you're stuck, eh?
Yeah. Well, it was I did 171 world championship fights. 176 world championship fights in my whole career. And I'm very honored.
And throughout your entire career, you're a happily married man, a devoted father, and you have so much reach within your community and so much work that you do outside of your community or outside of the boxing ring. It is phenomenal what you stand for, who you are as a person, the people you fight for, the rights you fight for, the way you take care of those that are fragile and unable to take care of themselves. Mr. Cortez, I salute you. You're an incredible, incredible person. I would like to tell South Africa a little bit about the stuff we found out. South Africa, meet Joe Cortez. He's not just one of boxing's most respected referees, but a man whose life outside the ring is as rich and as complex and as inspiring as his legendary firm but fair calls. He was born in Spanish Harlem in New York, October the 13th, 1945, to proud Puerto Rican parents. Your mother, Inocentia, was the boxing fanatic within the family. Is that correct? Did I read
Correct.
correctly? And you were
Yes.
named after Joe in honor of the heavyweight late Joe Louis. And your
Right.
surname Cortez is rooted in the Spanish history meaning courteous or courtly, which is basically qualities that you embody throughout your entire life. So you're so true to what you stand for. And in the early 1960s, Joe emerged as a standout amateur, winning multiple New York Golden Gloves titles. And you fought against Mike Tyson, didn't you?
No,
Wasn't that you?
I was never a heavyweight. Mike Tyson, when I retired from boxing, Mike Tyson wasn't even born yet.
Oh, okay. Because when we did some research, there was a Joe Cortez that did an amateur fight with Mike Tyson. So that was not you then. Scrap that
No,
from the
no,
history. Awesome.
no, that Joe Cortez was a heavyweight, and the most I ever weighed, the heaviest I ever fought was as a featherweight. I
But
think
you,
I weighed 123 pounds was the heaviest I ever
but,
fought.
but you won many Golden Gloves titles, though.
Yes, yes, I won 6 championships.
6. That's incredible.
Yeah, and it also means that if you didn't fight him as an amateur, it also means that you still got in the ring with Mike Tyson and he couldn't land a punch on you.
Right, exactly. I refereed Mike Tyson 8 times, including his
Wow.
last fight.
Wow.
Wow.
And you did the Floyd Mayweather fight. You did the one that went into the Hall of Fame that we were talking about the other day.
Yeah, Julio Cesar Chavez.
Julio
Yes.
Cesar Chavez, who is
Exactly. I was waiting for him to-
arguably Mexico's greatest fighter. A lot of people they acknowledge him as Champion Le Grande, which means
Right.
Grand Champion of Mexico. But Saul Canelo Alvarez, you've also refereed
Yeah.
Saul Canelo Alvarez, and Saul Canelo Alvarez at this point he's very close to accomplishing, even though it's in a different era. He's unified the 4-belt division. He's got the ring belt, and he's also on his way. He's fighting another man who you also refereed, because you are the most honorable man walking the face of the earth today. Still walking the face of the earth today. It was between you and referee Mills Lane. And the late Mills Lane, God rest his soul, but you are the man walking the face of the earth that is the most honorable and the most accomplished. There is nobody accomplished as you are. You got in the ring with the best of the best, and all of the previous Hall of Famers, former Hall of Famers, current Hall of Famers, and future Hall of Famers. So Terence Crawford, you also refereed Terence Crawford, and Terence Crawford is also a unified world champion in his division, who is moving up to Canelo Alvarez's division now, and they made a specific Ring Magazine belt worth $188,000, which they've made for this fight. But I know you as a referee, always while you were refereeing, you never gave your opinion over a fight, especially because you had to stay neutral as a referee. But now that you're retired, I'm hoping that I'm allowed to ask you, what would your opinion be for Terence Crawford challenging Saul Canelo for the undisputed 168 pounds crown of the world? It's arguably two of, if not the two top pound for pound fighters in the world going for this. And now that you're retired, hopefully I can have your opinion, and we, the world, can have your opinion. The most wisest man in boxing on the world, on planet Earth today, is Joe Cortez.
Well, okay. Well, I don't recall referee Terrence Crawford. If you can correct me, what fight I did of his, but I don't recall. I mean, I did 176 World Championship fight, but I don't think I ever refereed
You
Terrence Crawford.
you didn't do one of his world title fights.
I don't recall. You know, there's so
Yeah.
many, but I don't recall his name on my
Yes.
list.
Actually, while I was doing the study, so while I was doing, I went on BoxRec, and I went through all of your refereeing, and it took me some time. There's 20 pages. You are the only guy in BoxRec
With
that has
20
20
pages.
pages that like
Official.
as a professional referee.
Wow.
You have 20 pages as an official, but Terence Crawford is there. I promise you, Terence Crawford, he is there.
Okay,
Um,
well,
and
I may have to referee him.
yeah,
There's so many. I did 35 years, and
yes, sir.
some fighters come up to me and say, "Man, Mr. Cortez, you refereed my fight for a championship." I said, "I did. What's your name?" And I don't even remember because you know what? I try to stay away from, like you said before,
Yeah.
choosing one fight over another. I got to be
Yes.
neutral.
Yes.
Yes.
I try not to even care
Staying
about who's in our
neutral.
ring. I've been there to do a job, but. But you asked me a question about Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford
Yes, sir.
coming up September 13th here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I tell you that I still think like my mental way of thinking is that I try to be neutral at all times. And even though I'm retired, I still don't pick fighters over the other. I never had that mentality of thinking that I can pick a fighter
That
over the
says so
other. And
much.
all I can say is going to be a great fight.
Yeah, that says so much about your character, though. Just that. It
Mm.
says so much about your character. I would like you if possible, if you could tell us about your Latin Jazz International.
I started a foundation when my daughter had the accident 29 years ago, and we did it for a number of years. But then we stopped. There was no more funding coming in, so we stopped the whole organization. But I'm not looking for make any money from anybody.
Okay,
You
no,
know,
no, no, that's
you, yeah. But my daughter's doing fine. She's a beautiful young lady.
awesome.
She's quadriplegic. She's paralyzed from here down, and she never complains about anything. She even drives. She could drive a car.
Wow.
Even though she's paralyzed from here down, she can move her arms, but she cannot move her hands. But so we got a special car for her. She drives like anybody else out there.
Your entire family is so inspirational. I can only imagine the level of dedication it took your wife as well to support you throughout this career and to support you throughout all of these exciting. I mean, because it takes quite a lot to be a boxing wife, for the industry within itself. I saw your office. Your entire house is boxing, and so your wife must be just as much of an avid boxing lover as you are, to be so engulfed within the life that basically, yeah, you encompass boxing. Everything about you says boxing. But then your wife was also quite a warrior, and she also conquered a battle. And she also stood strong in adversity. So I just want to compliment you on your family. Your entire family is a family that stands for resilience, courtesy, and fairness, and incredible heart, real heart. And
Yeah.
for you to be so happily married after all these years and still stand together after all of these things, it is commendable. It is something that you don't come
Yes.
across in this day and age very easily. And I would like to commend you for that.
Well, thank you very much. Well, I'm a regular guy. I love people out there. I don't care where they're from.
Yeah.
You know, I'm neutral when it comes to people all over the world. I love everybody.
Yeah.
I don't pick sides with anybody. I just say, I believe in God, and I believe that there is
Amen.
a hope for everybody in life. And I try to do the best that I can. I got hit with COVID in 2020, and I was hospitalized for 5 months. A lot of people thought I was not going to make it, but I made it. And I said, if my daughter and my wife, what they're going through, my wife with cancer,
Yeah.
and my daughter as a quite paralyzed from an auto accident, I said, they don't complain about anything. They're very supportive of everybody, always try to help everybody out. So I can't complain about nothing. I'm just glad that we're all here, we're all alive, and we're able to continue to help people out there. And I'm not looking for any money from anybody for any more fundraisers. We did enough already for the first 5 years, and we just try to be kind and humble and loving to everybody.
And that is probably why you're one of the only people I know that has a public holiday named after him. You had a public holiday named after you in 2023 in Las Vegas, and that is also one hell of an achievement. I know no one else that has a public holiday named after them. Congratulations on that.
November 1st,
Yeah,
2023.
it was last year, 2024. The mayor, Goodman, Carolyn Goodman, had a Joe Cortez Day, and that was I think November 20th, of every year. So that was very special.
You absolutely deserve it, though. Absolutely. You've also been recognized and inducted into multiple halls of fame. You were inducted into the New Jersey Hall of Fame in 1998, the International Hall of Fame 2011, Nevada Hall of Fame 2013, and in November 23 they declared it Joseph Cortez Day. You are honored, and we are honored to be able to have a conversation with you. I know that he's been so excited all night to talk about the boxing. He's been so excited about the fight.
Ever since I first spoke to you over the cell phone, and I just heard your voice, because the year I turned professional as a fighter, I turned professional in the year 2008. But in 2007, the biggest fight that was going on in the world was Floyd Mayweather versus Ricky Hatton, undefeated.
Oh yes.
And
Right.
and I literally, I'm getting, my hairs in the back of my head are standing up. So I'm waking up early this Sunday morning to watch this fight, and that's the first time I solidly hear the catchphrase, "I'm fair but I'm firm." And I saw you the first time. So basically, from amateurs, you are like a childhood hero, because I made the transition into 2008 to professional, and I've been to America a few times. I'm still undefeated on American soil. I'm the only South African after four defenses of my unbeaten record to still remain undefeated as a world champion on American soil. But the only thing that never happened to me while I was there, I never got to meet Joe Cortez, because like hearing your voice, the fair but firm, and after that hearing it so many times. I've heard it with all of the fights when I study boxing history. The Marco Antonio Barrera fight versus Nassim Hamed. And at that
Right.
time, Nassim Hamed they were claiming he was more popular and more famous than the Beatles. And
Well, he was undefeated up
he,
until the night that I referee him with Barrera.
but the way that Barrera, if you would be willing to elaborate, the way that fight went, and being there in the ring, being so close to the punches, and just a guy that's undefeated, because a lot of there was so much attention around Prince Nazim Hamed, and for you to witness that firsthand, there's nobody closer than Joe Cortez witnessing Nazim Hamed getting beat the first time. How was that experience?
Well, like I said before, I try to stay away from picking sides of fighters. I know he was undefeated, but that doesn't mean nothing to me. Like a lot of people say, Joe, you referee Mike Tyson on 8 occasions, and I say, yeah. And they say, you know him. I say, yeah, I know him, but but it doesn't mean that I'm going to favor him over anybody. Because even his last fight, I took 2 points from him when he headbutted Kevin McBride. I took 2 points from Mike Tyson. So I don't care who's in that ring. I know with Prince Nassim Ahmed, I referee him. I think it was 3 times, 3 championship fights of his. And when he fought Wayne McCullough in Atlantic City, and then he fought some other guy in London. and I refereed several of his fights. But when he fought that night, I know he was undefeated, but I was there to do a job. I don't think about him being undefeated. I don't think about he's more recognizable than the Beatles. I just say I'm here to do a job, and
Yes.
that's it. I block everything out. Maybe that's why when you mentioned the Hall of Fames, and
Yes.
there's a couple of them you missed. There's one the National Hall of Fame that was in California, and the Texas Hall of Fame that's in Texas. And now
Wow.
this coming September next month, September 26th to the 28th, I'm getting inducted again to the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame.
Wow.
So I've been
Wow.
blessed in many ways. Maybe because
Oh,
of the way I am.
wow.
I don't pick sides. I don't ask for any favors. I never ask anybody if I could get inducted to a Hall of Fame. I just, I let by talking, my ring mechanics, when I'm in the ring,
Yes.
talk for me.
Yes.
I don't have to ask for anything for anybody to induct me to a Hall of Fame. I don't want any special favors from anybody. All I want to do is help out in boxing and help people out there, to get them on the right track. Right now, I'm coaching a young lady by the name of Delilah Ramos.
Wow.
Delilah V. Ramos. She's from Chicago, and she's an amateur referee, but she wants to go professional eventually. And she's very dedicated, and she's like one of the most dedicated individuals I've seen in boxing, wanting to learn so much. So,
Wow.
I give a lot of credit for her abilities, her determination, and she's so dedicated to boxing, and that's all she thinks about. And she works in the medical field. She's helping a lot of cancer patients in
Oh, wow.
Chicago.
Wow.
But I hope that one day she can start doing some professional fights, and that's going to happen soon. But I can't wait for the day when she does her first world championship fight. That'll be an honor.
But you see this is exactly such an indication of the character that you are and the characteristic that you have. The pleasure you take into developing the next generation, into
Yes.
transferring your skill, into teaching them the gold that you have and what you know, so that this legacy can continue. It is commendable, sir. I'm really humbled to be in your presence.
There's female in boxing that started to develop now really big around the world, and I think that having a female refereeing a female championship fight is great. But I want to see her referee a male's championship fight. That's what I want to see. But I
Yes.
think
Wow.
she has it. I think times are changing, and we believe in women. I have three daughters, so I
Yes.
believe that you know giving opportunity to daughter. My daughters are intelligent and they can do just about anything that any male can do. So I'm in favor of women doing things in life, like yourself. You're promoting fights, and that's great.
Yes.
Not many people
Yes.
can do what you're doing,
It's not
and
that
and
easy.
people.
Yeah, you would know.
Especially in a male,
Yeah, yeah,
boxing has always been a male dominant sport, as you know, because you are the most dominant, even though, sir, you do not you are not arrogant. You are the most humble
Humble,
soul
humble.
in boxing alive today, walking the face of the earth. There is no man that is more honored, more accomplished, more established than Joe Fair but Firm Cortez. And this. I'm not. I'm not just boasting and boasting. I'm not boasting at all. I'm talking about facts. You are such a humble person, and the way that you transfer your skills, because I also know that when the transitioning phase came into sports, when Conor McGregor transitioned over from the MMA to fight Floyd Mayweather, when he was in training camp, while he was in training camp in his sparring sessions, you helped him so much. You are such an advocate for boxing and just for what a person of boxing should be, because you helped him as the referee in preparations towards his fight with Floyd Mayweather, which obviously
yeah.
is it's amazing. It's astonishing what you do for the sport, what you've done for the sport.
Yeah, well, I was retired already from boxing a couple of years, and when Conor McGregor I told his trainers and his managers, I want Joe to train me on the rules of boxing because I don't know the rules of boxing. I know, the MMA.
Wow.
He was with UFC, and he said, I want Joe to train me and teach me how to fight correctly without committing any fouls and when he fights Floyd Mayweather. So they signed a contract. I signed a contract with them for 5 weeks to train Conor McGregor. It was a blessing. It had a lot of fun, and he's very, very nice person. He does. He promotes himself as a bad guy and whatnot, but behind the scenes, he's
A
really
good
a nice,
guy.
nice guy.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
let me hold it. He had like a 5-month-old baby. He gave me the baby so I could hold the baby.
Wow.
It was so nice of him. I said,
Yeah.
wow, yeah, and he did okay. He made
He
a
did.
100.
I just
He
wanted
made
to
a
He's
say
doing
he
100.
did
pretty
so
good at the
well.
moment as well with the bare knuckle, though.
He did so well against Mayweather. A lot of people expected him to tire by 6. I myself, I watched the fight. I woke up in the morning and watched the fight
Right.
because of South African time towards US time. But he went all the way. He got stopped in the 10th. But the way that he boxed up until there, he was ahead on most of the scorecards. Conor did so well against Mayweather. I think that you assisting him with the Mayweather fight in preparations and him doing so well in the fight, that opened the gate for the next steppers, for the guys that took the next step, like Francis Ngannou against Tyson Fury. But the work that
Right.
you did with Conor McGregor in assisting him helped him so much. Conor is a definite hard worker. He's a hard worker, and as you say, he's a humble guy. But also the work that you assisted him in his boxing ability and the boxing discipline, because transitioning from mixed martial arts, from kicking, grappling, and the whole wrestling, to going on standing on your feet, just using your hands, just doing boxing with your hands, and blocking, defending with your hands, head movement, and that work that you did with him, it took him, I believe that took him to the later rounds. He eventually ended up in the championship rounds, and he did
Yeah, he
so
went to
well,
the
it
championship.
opened up a gate.
Yeah, he did it for he lasted the 10 rounds, and he made 100. I believe it was 100 million
Oh, yeah.
US dollars.
Yeah, the pay-per-view figures were crazy on that fight. Not to mention the sponsorships and the purses. Just the pay-per-view figures that they turned on that was just close on what we would say $1 billion in South Africa. But you
Yeah.
also featured quite a bit in some feature movies. You were included in where are they now?
I know
Play It
Rocky
to the
VI.
Bone, I Spy, and then the most memorable Rocky Balboa
Yes.
in officiating the climatic Balboa versus Dixon fight.
And Dixon
Right.
was played by Antonio Traver, the also world
Antonio
champion
Tarver, right.
who beat Roy Jones Jr. So Antonio Traver is a brilliant fighter, but you get to play yourself in these movies.
That's
Who?
Yeah.
Not even Sylvester Stallone gets to play himself in a movie, but Joe
Well,
Cortez.
well, Sylvester Stallone says, Joe, he says, you got to help me with this. I want this movie, the boxing scene, I want it to make it look authentic. And he says, yeah, how can you help me with that? I said, well, let's start off. I want to get you real boxing people. So I got him 23 extras, professional people in boxing. I got 23 in a movie. And plus, they had a script for me, want me to read a script, to do what the script said. I said, Sylvester, if you want to look authentic, I don't need a script. Let me do it the way I normally do it by fight. I know where I got to be. I know exactly what I have to do. He said, Joe, let's do it your way. And we did it my way. And it turned out to be a great boxing
incredible.
scene.
Brilliant movie.
Incredible.
I grew up on the Rocky movies. I literally grew up on all of the Rocky movies, from the first one
Most
where he
of us
fought
came to
Apollo
boxing
Creed,
for that.
lost to the second one where he beat Apollo Creed, and then he fought Drago. After that, Mr. T. All of them coming up, but Rocky VI with Mason Dixon, the movie, the storyline where he meets his son, where he gets his son involved in his corner. Everybody says he's too old for this. How can generations fight? All the generations fight younger generations, and the way that he comes back, and then there's nobody better than the man playing himself, Joe Cortez. Like, even that, I grew up on Rocky movies. I used to, the Rocky 1 and Rocky 2, after watching it, I used to run down my parents' house hallway and shadow box and put on my dad. My dad was a former two-division South African Old Buck champion in the 80s. My dad fought against Reggie Johnson, Regional Johnson, who I believe you would know. He also, Regional Johnson lost his titles to Roy Jones Jr., who eventually lost to Antonio Tarver. Antonio Tarver played Mason Dixon in the Rocky 6 movie. And yeah, you are boxing history.
But didn't you fight Oren Pryor's son?
I also, my promoter, Yanni Hebler, she's reminding me that Oren Pryor, and I have the utmost respect for Oren the Hawk Pryor, the Hall of Famer. And you
may he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace. Brilliant fighter. He's 2 fights with Alexis Arguello, back to back. The way the story goes is, after beating Alexis Arguello down the line, if I could stand corrected, Alexis Arguello committed suicide. God rest his soul as well, because he couldn't take not being a world champion, but he fell short against Oren Pryor. My first defense of my world title and my undefeated status as a world champion was against Oren Pryor Jr. in Biloxi, Mississippi.
His son, eh?
Yes, his son, just the fight prior to that, his son beat Librado Andrade, which put him in line for a world title shot. So my first fight on US soil was against his son, and I got to meet Oren Pryor. I stood across Oren Pryor, the Hawk Pryor, and Oren Pryor Jr. in the center of the ring before the ringing of the first bell, and he was just a legend, a boxing Hall of Fame legend. I also met Roy Jones Jr., who's also going to be a boxing Hall of Fame. I also met Mike Tyson, who's also. But when I think about what boxing should be like, boxing should be a fair sport, and I believe you agree with that. Boxing should be a fair sport, because the 2 fighters that get into the ring, they are there to fight for their lives, they are there to fight for better futures, and also they are there to represent their dignity and also who they are as a person. So the purity of boxing is very important. The fairness and the firmness which you stand for is unmatched. I've watched your fights, your work. I've even watched the fight. As we talk, I can explain. There's a fight that caused a lot of controversy when you refed it, but it wasn't because of your referee. It was because of the way that Floyd Mayweather won the fight against Victor Ortiz in the 4th round. In the 4th round, Victor Ortiz, because he was getting outboxed by Floyd Mayweather. I was watching the fight live, and Floyd Mayweather was landing the cleaner punches. Even though Victor Ortiz was he was trying to be the busier fighter, but he just had no success against Floyd. And then in the 4th round, he hits Floyd Mayweather with a clear headbutt out of frustration. You go and you stop the fight. You do what the honorable ref should do. You do the right thing, Mr. Fair but Firm. You deduct a point. You stop the clock. You deduct a point. You send him back to the corner. You send the boxers back to the corner, and you say, before you send them back to the corner, you walk around with Victor Ortiz around the ring. You deduct the point. He goes and apologizes to Mayweather. They hug. He acknowledges that he was wrong, and they go back to neutral corners. You then say box, and you turn your head, and you tell the clock administrator to start the clock. Once you turn back to the fighters, Floyd Mayweather, Victor Ortiz comes to hug Floyd Mayweather again and apologize again, which you already said box and you started the clock. At that time, the fighters should have fought, and Victor Ortiz should have paid attention to that. But he goes, staying humble and acknowledging that he was wrong. He goes and hugs Floyd Mayweather again. Floyd Mayweather hits him with a checked left hook, straight right, knocks him out. Right after you started the clock, you basically had to start the 10 count. There was a lot of controversy against Floyd Mayweather, the way that he won. But according to the rules, as I just explained it, you did everything. You did everything right. Everybody did everything right. Floyd Mayweather was just super smart. He was super focused. Like he was on the rules, on the point.
He was the winner.
And yeah, Victor Ortiz, I also believe he did everything right. Being humble, he humbled himself in acknowledging his mistake again. But the way that Floyd Mayweather capitalized on that mistake, it made the fight switch, and it turned the boxing world on its head. There was so much controversy in that hall the night that knockout happened, that everybody just hated Floyd Mayweather, but he did nothing wrong.
Exactly. Well, you tell fighters, protect yourself at all times.
That's
Yes,
it.
sir.
And when time was in, Floyd Mayweather, that's why I had to come, because I knew that the time was in, and I knew that it was like Larry Merchant, the commentator, said, it was a legal sucker punch.
And it was.
Yeah, yeah, because because in other words, you gotta. I mean, it was not. It was like it was legal, but it was like not. It was like a sucker
It
punch.
was
Like somebody
frowned
tells you,
upon.
hey, look. Like somebody would tell you, hey, look, your shoe is unlaced. You got your lace coming off your shoe, and you look down and he hits you. Well, you know what? That's your fault. But you gotta protect yourself at all times. Once the time is in, the bell rings. It's on you. But I feel sorry. Victor Ortiz happened to be a nice gentleman. I like him a lot, and I see him
Yes.
several times after that happened. And we were talking, and he said, "Joe, I apologize again what I did that night. It was my trainers told me to headbutt Floyd Mayweather. He said I got rid of all my trainers because that's not my style. But he said it made me look bad. It made everybody look bad for boxing. But he said, Joe, you were right. So, I said, oh, well, okay, you're doing okay for yourself. You're a gentleman. Keep on with your life, and God bless you. And that was it. But I didn't elaborate too much about it. But
Yeah.
everybody knows that I say, I'm fair, but I'm firm. Touch them up. And, time is in. And you protect yourself at all time.
Yes, sir.
That's
And that's
it.
what you got to do. But these guys, but these guys don't protect themselves. It's a shame, because he was a world seasoned professional fighter that should know the rules. Keep your guards up at all times.
So there's also another fight, because I love comeback stories, especially there was something that happened in Roberto Duran's career. Roberto Duran, prior to you refereeing his fight with Iron Barkley, his comeback fight with Iron Barkley, prior to
Right,
that
right.
fight, Roberto Duran from Panama, he was a Panamanian legend, literally a hero. And when he declared no mas on the second fight against Sugar Ray Leonard, the
Right.
whole of Panama persecuted him, turned around against him, and he just took persecution, and they really disregarded what he had done prior to
Right.
the no mas, because before the no mas he beat Sugar Ray Leonard. He
Right,
he,
in
he,
Montreal.
he took him Sugar Ray Leonard. He got into Sugar Ray Leonard's head the first fight, and he got Sugar Ray Leonard to fight his fight. And there's after I've watched the Hands of Stone movie, where it properly displays Roberto Duran, the whole situation, what happened after the fight with the first fight with Sugar Ray Leonard, where he then went on binging and drinking and partying because he never had money. He never had money, and so he had a lot of weight to lose. in the time ahead of the second fight. But with that weight cut and everything, even though he was paid more than any fighter ever, he had a lot of weight cut, and yeah, he then declared no mas. The whole of Panama turned around on him. He had to go and dig down deep. He went to Panamanian prisons to go and spar.
Right.
He went and
Right.
sparred the prisoners in the Panamanian prisons, and so he really he went the way that he went about it was very deep. And then coming back, you being in the ring, witnessing him become a world champion and redefining himself, coming back
Right.
and against all the odds, he rises up and he beats Ian Barkley for the welterweight world championship, for the WBA
Well,
welterweight world
No,
championship,
it was for the middleweight championship.
for the
It
middle.
was it was for the middleweight championship. That was at 1989 in Atlantic City.
Incredible memory.
Wow, incredible memory. Thank you for correcting me.
No,
Thank you
I
for
can tell you one thing. You're talking so much about you're like an historian of boxing. You know everything yourself. You did your homework pretty good.
so my dad always taught me to write the future, you have to know the history. And
Right.
and knowing the fights that you, because I can elaborate on your career alone with all of the Hall of Famers, the previous Hall of Famers, the current Hall of Famers, and the future Hall of Famers that you have refereed. We all know that Canelo is going to be in the future Boxing Hall of Fame.
Oh, for sure.
And
There's no question about it.
Terence Crawford,
Improve.
I believe there's a lot of names that are going to be there, but there's some heavyweight fights that I would like to also discuss. You refereed the fight between Mike Tyson and Larry Holmes. Mike Tyson, a
Right.
young Mike Tyson, his hero was Muhammad Ali. And before the Mike Tyson and Larry Holmes fight, the fighter who took the pendulum, how will I say, who took the pendulum from Muhammad Ali, the whole of America, basically the whole of the boxing world, hated Larry Holmes for what happened with him in the Ali fight. But
Right.
Larry Holmes was a nice gentleman. He's a nice boxer. He's a very, very nice guy. It was sad
Yes,
to
he is.
see that Ali had aged so much in the ring, and for Larry Holmes to be able to handle Ali so easily. It was sad to
Right.
see that, but the whole of the boxing world as well. Once again, the boxing world turned on Larry Holmes and hated him, and especially for Mike Tyson to. Mike Tyson openly admits that Ali was the greatest heavyweight of all times. And
Yeah.
Mike Tyson said to Muhammad Ali before the fight with him and Larry Holmes, which you refereed, he said to Muhammad Ali, "I'm going to get him for you, Ali."
Well, Muhammad Ali. When I was in the ring, Muhammad Ali was in there, and Larry with Larry Holmes on one side, and Tyson the other. And then when they introduced Muhammad Ali, I was able to raise his hand up in the air. I
Wow.
raised his hand up, and then that was the only time I ever raised it. Even though I've been with him on numerous occasions when he was young in his prime, and then even in the last time I saw him was when I refereed Mike Tyson and Ken McBride in Washington D.C. And I went over to speak with Muhammad Ali for a minute. His daughter Layla Ali was fighting that night, and she retained her title as well. But so when Muhammad Ali was introduced to the ring, then he went over to the corner to shake Larry Holmes' hand. Then he went over to Mike Tyson, and he told Mike Tyson something in his ear. He whispered something in his ear. And years later, I asked Mike Tyson, "Hey, by the way, what did Muhammad Ali tell you when he came into? He told you something in your ear when he was introduced in the ring when you were fighting Larry Holmes?" He said, "Muhammad Ali told me kick his ass."
And then
I
he
said,
did.
"Wow." And that's funny because he wanted to get even. He wanted Mike Tyson. Hey, but Mike Tyson, I mean, Muhammad Ali loved Mike Tyson. He said Mike Tyson was great for boxing. He loved the way Mike Tyson fought. He said, "Well, he said you're really a good puncher. Why not?" And Mike Tyson had a lot of skills.
Yeah.
I met Mike Tyson. I met him. He said he came up to me one day and said, "Joe, Mr. He never called me Joe. He said, Mr. Cortez, I bet you one day in New York City when I was a young kid and I was 13 years old when I came up to you to tell you that I was starting to box." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, I came by." He said, you were at a boxing event, but they had an amateur boxing event. You were there, and that's when I came up to you. I said, "Wow." He said, "Yeah." He said, "I remember you, Joe." I said, "Okay." So that went on. And Mike Tyson has always thought of me as a father figure, but because Yamato, his trainer, was really his father figure.
Yes.
When Mike Tyson was in trouble and he got released from prison, it was juvenile detention, and then they sent him up to this place to live, and because Yamato had a bunch of guys there that he was training with, but he had Mike Tyson. He started training Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson listened to the style that he had was the style that Floyd Patterson had, and Jose
Floyd
Torres,
Patterson.
two former champion, Jose Torres light heavyweight, and Floyd Patterson heavyweight champion, and you can see they all had the same style because the Amaro broke them in that way. With a peekaboo style, with the hands.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
They
yes.
keep their hands
Yeah.
up here. And that's the way they fought. But I remember when he was fighting that last
And
fight he had with Kevin McBride, he kept biting his thumb on the glove. He kept biting it. And I knew he's getting desperate. He knew he was losing. And it was a real kind of like a dirty fight. I didn't like the way they were fighting. A lot of holding, and they were trying to break each other's arm in the clinches inside.
yes,
And Mike Tyson was really losing it because he knows he was going to get stopped or something. So at the end of the sixth round, when Kevin McBride pushed him down the canvas, I said, "No knockdown, no knockdown." And he got up. It took about 15 seconds for him to get up. The bell already sounded, the rest period. And when he was walking to his corner, I was walking with him. And Jeff Fennick, former featherweight champion, was his trainer, and he was there with him. And he looked at me as I was walking back to the corner, and I said, "Okay, that's it." And I waved it off. That's it. It's over. And Jeff Fennick and Mike Tyson, they agree with me. They didn't complain. They knew that he was finished that night, and that was 16 years ago.
Wow.
you also refereed Jeff Finnick's
He
fights,
remembers all of them.
Yeah, Jeff Fennick, yes, I did.
and Jeff
Jeff
Finnick
Fennick was
is
Super Nelson.
Australian Hall of Famer, a South African a guy from the gym where I used to train at the Hammer Gym, a guy Philip No Deal Holiday. He beat Jeff
Oh, yeah,
Finnick.
yeah, yeah.
If you could, I know obviously you remember all of this, but you
Yeah.
refereed guys like Jeff Finnick, Azuma Nelson, international. You refereed Joe Calzaghe, Chris Eubank.
Right.
You did great things. You did the comeback after Lennox Lewis lost against Rasim Rahman at Carnival
Right, right,
City. When he came back to regain the
Yeah,
world
man.
titles, you were the man in the middle of the ring. On top of
Yeah,
that,
correct.
on
He hit him with a hard punch and knocked him out cold.
what would you say that Lennox Lewis was one of the top 10 great heavyweights of all
Yeah,
time?
yeah, I would say so because he beat Mike Tyson when Mike
But
Tyson
old
was
Mike Tyson.
he fought Mike Tyson. He beat the Klitschko brothers. He beat Hasim Rockman. He stopped. Yeah, so many fights. I believe he fought Oliver McCall, if I'm not mistaken. But he was Lennox Lewis got to be considered one of the great heavyweights of all times. He was a good, decent fighter and a gentleman too.
Yeah,
He's a nice guy.
in my
I
personal
got, I got
opinion,
to I got to
in
referee him against Abdul Galado in Atlantic City where he knocked
Big
him out.
Galado.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
And the great fight that I recall also was besides Roberto Duran and Ray Barkley, I would say the Evander Holyfield against Riddick Bowe.
You
Those
did that
I did the
twice.
first. I did the first one and the third one. They were great fights.
If if I stand corrected, the first one Riddick Bowe won.
Correct.
And the third one, Riddick Bowe won.
Correct.
Riddick Bowe is the
You-
only man to beat Evander Holyfield twice.
Yeah, and Evander Holyfield was the only one fighter to be Riddick Bowe. The only loss that Riddick Bowe has in his career
Wow.
was against
And also, Evander Holyfield was the only guy to beat Mike Tyson. While Mike Tyson was still, at
right.
that time, I regarded Mike Tyson, the Evander Holyfield, the Mike Tyson that Evander Holyfield beat, that Mike Tyson was still the baddest man on the planet. That was not the caliber of Mike Tyson that Lennox Lewis fought. Lennox Lewis fought an older version of Tyson, a slower version of Tyson, not the predator Mike Tyson that we always used to see in the beginning against Trevor
Right.
Babbitt, against the Larry Holmes, and then obviously against Evander Holyfield. He really went out of his way and pushed himself against Evander Holyfield. And I believe that just shows how great Evander Holyfield was within him and Riddick Bowe, and you being the center man in those two fights. I was leading up to get to those fights, but you took us there now. Being
And don't
in the
forget Pierre
ring,
Coetzee.
being in the ring with the heavy punches, you were in the ring with George Foreman against Pierre Coetzee as well, and you were also in the ring with Gary Coetzee against Ronaldo Spinks. But I want to elaborate on the Riddick Bowe Evander Holyfield clashes. Those are two of my top 10 favorite heavyweight fights of all times, and you're the center man in the ring. Heavy blows, heavy handers.
It was a very competitive fight. You know, they were both great champions. Riddick Bowe was trying to become champion, and I remember that Holyfield felt that he had more experience. He could beat Riddick Bowe because Riddick Bowe always had a habit of not training hard. He didn't have too much discipline when it came to keeping his weight, you know. But anyway, Holyfield thought he could beat him, but it was the other way around. It was Riddick Bowe who beat Holyfield. And if you watch the 10th round, what's around, what people still talk about that 10th round in the first fight, you know, where Riddick Bowe hit Holyfield. Actually, it was, he had Holyfield going, and Holyfield was almost, people say, well, I think the referee going to stop it. And then Holyfield came back, he had Riddick Bowe up against the rope. And then they thought, he going to stop Riddick Bowe. It was a great 10th round. So you viewers out there watching, try to watch out on YouTube. Riddick Bowe, Evander Holyfield, the first match. It was outstanding. They fought 3 times. The second fight was when that fan man came in with a parachute and a fan behind him. That was
Was that?
Caesar's
That's
Palace
the fight we
Outdoors.
were watching the other day
I
when the
was
guy
watching it the other day, where the paraglider
Right.
comes into the ring.
At first we thought it was a
Wow.
joke.
And-
That, yeah,
Yeah,
like an
and by-
entertainment gone
And
wrong.
by fr- and the referee for that was Mills Lanes. Mills Lane was the
Lane.
referee. And then they had the third fight. That's the one that I did. It was a really great fight. I mean, I had a fabulous career. I can't complain. You know, I did some big
There's-
fights. You know, people all over the world, they show you referee some of the greatest fights of all time.
Yes.
And you know, I felt like I did a lot. I tried to protect the fighters. I remember when Sugar Ray Leonard had his last professional fight.
Against
It was
Hector
against
Camacho.
Hector Camacho. And Hector Camacho stopped him in the 4th round. Remember, when Leonard went down, and then he got up, and then Camacho went after him, had him up against the ropes, and I jumped in. I stopped it. When his knees buckled, I jumped in and stopped it. And when I held him in my arms, he whispered in my ear, "Thanks, Joe." Sugar Ray Leonard said, "Thanks,
Wow.
Joe." And you know, he knows I was there to protect the fighter. I don't want fighters to take unnecessary punishment.
Yeah.
That's my first and foremost duty as a referee, to protect the fighters. But I also wanted I wanted the fighters to go home, you know, safe and sound, you know.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
that's the way it was in boxing, and
You also
you know, it was. I protect fighters.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir, and you do that. You also, a lot of fights, a lot, most probably 75% of fights and the greatest fighters and the greatest fights which I've ever seen, you play the big part and the big role in there. You were in the ring with Sugar Shane Mosley, Oscar De La Hoya. You were in the ring with Oscar De La Hoya, Julio Cesar Chavez. You were in the ring with Julio Cesar Chavez and Pernell Whitaker. You did all of these fights. You were in the ring with Hector Camacho against Felix Trinidad.
Right.
There's nobody that has done. These guys have all done it in their own individual capacity, but there's nobody that has done and still walking the face of the earth. As I said, God rest the soul of Mills Lane, referee Mills Lane. He was the only one who could compete with you in this division, and now you are the sole heir. You are the sole heir to the pride of boxing worldwide. You have you have done fights that are phenomenal. You did the yes,
Which
sir.
one? No, I was going to say that, when I got inducted into the International Hall of Fame in 2011, I got that call, they Joe, you're going to be inducted. I couldn't believe it. And then after I got inducted, I talked to the director, Ed Brophy. I said, Mr. Brophy, I'm in the Hall of Fame, but, we got Bills Lanes and you got Richard Steele, who does some big fights. In Nevada, they does a real big fight. I think they belong in the Hall of Fame too, Maybe we could do something with them in the near future. Well, then, before you know it, in 2013, we got Bills Lanes inducted, and in 2014, we got Richard Steele inducted. So I was glad to see them get inducted. You know, yeah, but let me show you. This is a ring. This is a ring you get when you win the International Boxing Hall of Fame. This is a ring right there.
Wow, that's stunning.
That's beautiful, sir.
That's stunning.
Beautiful. You also
Yeah,
have
that's right.
you also have a Hall of Fame in your house, or you have your own
Yeah.
little Hall of Fame that you've built.
Yeah, I have a little museum.
It's
I'm looking to
beautiful.
put it
That's
someplace else.
stunning.
It's really nice, but it's always an honor for me to be. It's not about me anymore, but I've done so many fights. I just loved doing the fights. I love being in there with the fighters, protecting them. I don't want them to get hurt. I see too many fighters are not the same when they retire, and I want.
Yeah.
You're one of the guys that's really sharp. You got it all up here.
Yeah.
Thanks, yeah.
You got a good memory, and that's good. A lot of fighters they lose that by taking too many blows to the head.
Yeah.
So they have trainers out there, but I believe that some of the trainers have to be trained.
Yes, we agree.
Because there's a lot of people that are going to become trainers. They never put on the gloves themselves. They don't really know too much about
it goes into-
competing themselves. They were never fighters, and they become trainers. And now they got these two fighters' lives. They got a fighter lives in his hand. And I said, you need somebody to know when to stop the fight.
Yes.
If you feel if the referee not stopping it, you can stop it in a corner. The trainer can come and stop the fight and say, "Hey, ref, stop the fight." That never happened to me, maybe once or twice in my career. But I see too many referees let the fights go too long.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that. I'd rather stop at a punch too soon than a punch too late.
And that's wise. I saw that you were meeting with Mark Wahlberg. Is there anything behind it? Are you doing another movie? Is there something?
I saw him. He was doing a promotional thing for a liquor that he had, a tequila called Fletcher Alcine. And I went. They told me, Joe, Mark Wahlberg going to be at that restaurant there. They want you to go. Can you attend there? I said, yeah, I'll go there. When I got there, as soon as he saw me, he stopped everything. He said, Joe, oh my God, Joe, he said, I'm a big fan of yours. I said, I'm a big fan of yours, buddy. He said, Joe, I'm doing a movie. I'm going to do a movie with Julio Cesar Chavez, and I want you to be the referee for my movie. Can I get your information so people can call you up? And that was about 6 months ago. I'm still waiting to see if I get a call. Maybe when they're ready to do it. Because sometimes they want to do movies and it takes a period of time before
Yes.
they'll do it. But he knows that I refereed Chavez 6 times.
Yeah.
So he said, well, you could come in there and help us with that. I said,
That's
okay.
that's very exciting. We can't wait to see that. We're excited for that. Any movies on boxing. And Mark
Yeah.
Wahlberg and Mel Gibson, and I heard something that they're creating a whole non-woke kind of Hollywood at the moment, doing movies that are more centralized around non-woke themes and life themes, and I'm all for that. I'm all for that. I'm not sure if that's very true. It's what we read, but if that's true, that Mark Wahlberg and Mel Gibson have taken hands alongside Elon Musk for a non-woke, we're all for this. Very excited
Yeah,
to
that,
see what the movie will bring.
I was surprised for Mark Wahlberg, being he loves boxing so much. He goes to all the fights all the time. But one thing I want to do with him, I want to tell him about it when I see him again. I'm saying, Mark, you know what? I want to make you a referee in boxing. I want to start you with the amateurs, and then you'll be the first Hollywood star to
To
become
become a
a
ref.
professional boxing referee. I think he'll do it because he loves boxing that much.
Yes,
You know,
he.
But can you imagine how much attention that will attract to the sport, and how much it'll inject into the sport if he was to
I
get
know,
involved, and that would be
I
stunning.
know that, and that's what I'll do.
Brilliant.
He will help a lot with the amateurs, and he will draw a
Yes.
lot for the professionals. Then I would like to take him around the world to do championship fights around the world.
Yes.
He'll be like he's a referee, but he'll be like the star.
That's brilliant. That's
The
Yeah,
last boxing movie that Mark Wahlberg made, I actually watched because
the
I've
Zoom Spinner
watched
Cup.
the trilogy.
Mickey Ward.
Mickey Ward, the Mickey Ward fight, the whole building up, the whole story, the way that he played Mickey Ward, and the whole way the story was told. It didn't show that at the end. It didn't show the trilogy with Arturo Gatti, which is some of the greatest fights style wise in boxing. Between him and Arturo Gatti, but the way that he portrayed Mickey Ward in that movie is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, he's a great actor. He does a good job, and he loves boxing so much. And
Yes.
I know when I tell him, he's gonna say, "What? Referee? I never thought about that." Just like when just like when they told me about becoming a referee, I said, "Why, referee?" And I said, "Well, okay, I'll try it." But I think Mark Wahlberg will go for it, and you know what? And I can develop. He's still young enough for me to develop him to be a decent referee. He's in good condition and he's young, and
Yes.
I think we could do it.
Well, we hope you come to South Africa and continue that mission here as well. We would love to
Yeah,
have you in South Africa.
I would love to. I never been to one of the few countries I've never been to. I've been all over the world. I've never been to South Africa. And there's a lady named uh, Juanita Cap, Kapp, Cap. Juanita Cap. She's from South Africa, and she lives now in Texas. And she's with the mixed martial arts. And she had me inducted into the Texas MMA Hall of Fame last year.
Oh,
And I said,
wow.
wow. Yeah, but she's
Wow.
from South Africa, yeah.
Well, you
And
might just be able to visit us much sooner than later, because we are busy working on something really big international with a
I
fighter
would
that you
love,
have refereed in the past, to be fighting with Thomas. But we can't say too much about that yet. But it would be awesome if you could be ringside or, wherever, behind the
I would,
cameras,
love-
announcing, whatever. We'd be
I,
so
I,
honored to
I
have you
would,
here.
I would love to be a ringside commentator, commentating for the fights,
Yes, yes, I can
because I
see
did it
it.
for, I did it with Showtime, yeah, and I was doing it with ESPN. I did commentating for them for a number of years. But I would like to do something here in South Africa. That'd be
It would be
great.
my greatest honor, and let my tournament be the one that you sit next to the ring and commentate at. I'd be so
I would love
honored.
to.
I'd be honored as well.
And every time you have an event, you call me. I'll be your ring commentator. Just commentating
Awesome.
behind the camera. I would love to. Any show you have, I'll bring you Joe Cortez. I want to bring that girl that I'm helping out to be a referee. She would be good to get
Awesome.
started
That would be
there.
fabulous.
Yeah,
I just have to
yeah.
tell you the emotion you evoked in Thomas. The day you sent him the voice note on Messenger, I think it was about a year ago or a year and a half ago, you sent him a voice note, and he came running into the room. He's like, listen, you don't understand, listen. And he played your voice note. It was such an honor. You have such an impact on people in boxing. You're such a living
Yes.
legend. We have so much admiration, respect, and I just don't even have the words to explain to you how much we appreciate what you have done for boxing, not just
Well,
in America, worldwide, worldwide. What you have
Worldwide.
done, the way that the excitement that you add, and the actual, just you are such a part of boxing, and such a part of big boxing fights that there's no differentiating factor. Your name is synonymous with that, and thank you for being such a
thank you so much.
trailblazer.
You know,
Having
I want you viewers out there to watch. I do a show every week called the Joe Cortez Show on Facebook. I do a show with my co-host Shelly Stevens. She's a singer with her husband. They perform at a nightclub here in Vegas. But I have her as my co-host every Friday or Thursday. Actually, we've been doing it Thursday the last couple of weeks because the agent there is getting some treatment. So he said, "Can we do it on Thursday?" But it's called the Joe Cortez Show on YouTube. You can see it there. You see all the shows that I do out there.
we'll
I bring guests on my
definitely,
show.
yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
every
definitely. We'll
week.
also get your handle so we can advertise it a little bit, and then also tell everybody in South Africa to start subscribing to your channel.
Definitely.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah,
Anyway, but the thing is, I want to help people out there. I want to spread my knowledge and wisdom with
yes.
boxing to my fans out there. And, I'm here to, if anybody has any ideas or creative things they want me to get involved with, I like to help out. Boxing is a great thing, but boxing is not everything for me. There's other things in life. I used to manage hotels and I was involved in the medical field, the field of ophthalmology. I did a lot of things in life, and I just like to hopefully one day get to make it to South Africa there, where I
That
can
would be awesome.
So,
be
if
commentating on a regular basis, huh?
That would be awesome, and that is a very exciting prospect to look forward to. I'm definitely going to work on that. I'm going to take your word for that.
sir, if
Okay, good, good. And
if
yeah,
I could
so
ask you,
not to watch your show. Where can we watch your show on?
I'll send you some links. Fifth Element Promotions. I have quite a couple of shows on that I can send you the links of. After the show on Messenger, I'll send you some of the links. But you can find me on Fifth Element Promotions. We have a tournament series called Battle of the Warriors. I don't just develop boxing champions, I develop performance art and dance champions as well, singers, dancers, and anything to do with entertainment. So when we have our boxing events, it's an extravaganza. So we have the champion boxers, and then in between the bouts, we have the champion dancers and performance artists that are doing all of the routines that they represent our country with internationally. So it's very extravagant. And
You
I
know,
think,
I have the lady that my co-host, her name is Shelley Stevens, and her husband is Wesley. They perform two singers. They perform for the Motown music, all that for the
oh
70s,
wow.
60s, 70s up to today. They sing everything. They're really good. It would be good if we get them out to South Africa to
Yeah,
perform out there.
and do a whole thing. Yeah, that is an awesome
that
idea,
would
and
be
I'm gonna get
absolutely
on it
wonderful.
after this call. I've got to
They they
promise
they
you
they
that.
they call twice as nice. As you look it
Twice as
up
nice.
on
Wow.
the twice as nice, yeah. Wesley and Shelley Stevens.
We'll definitely check
Yeah.
them out.
We'll definitely,
Definitely.
definitely check them out. Mr. Cortez, I would love to ask you just a last question before we end of the show. I thank you very much for taking the time, but I would love to ask you a last question, and that not only for South African referees, but for aspiring referees around the world. What you have accomplished, anybody and everybody can take advice. Even myself, I can take advice.
Oh yeah, me
What
too.
you know about boxing, your wisdom, what you have in wisdom of knowledge is, it is so precious, and it should be taken care of and should be shared for the future. Is there any advice that you can give to future referees, those who are looking to follow in the footstep of the latitude of firmest and fairest Joe Cortez?
Well, my advice to individuals who want to become referees, I tell you that you have to be focused, you have to be disciplined, keep yourself in good shape. Look, even me today, I only weighed 155 pounds, and
Wow.
I still keep my muscles, I keep myself in shape. Keep yourself in
Yes.
shape.
Oh,
Study the fights. Watch all the referees that do the big fights. Watch referees, because that's what I used to do. I used to watch Arthur McCanty, Tony Perez. There was a big name referees back in the days. I used to watch these guys. I could learn from them. But try to attend in my seminars if they can, where they have seminars with the referees and your local commission. You have a boxing commission there in South Africa, I assume, right?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
we've got Boxing South Africa.
Yeah. Yeah. So you could go to. I recommend that they go to. They have seminars. They teach referees the do's and don'ts in boxing in the ring. The duties of a referee in the ring. How to protect the fighter. What to call in the doctor. What to call timeout. What to give warnings. What to take points and what to disqualify a fighter. You know, these things you have to learn. What is the protocol? The duties of a referee. But it's always being focused like a young lady that I'm training right now, Delilah Ramos. She studies boxing day and night, even though she's in the medical field. And that's where the individuals that are interested in becoming a referee don't just do it part time. Focus yourself 100% into what boxing. Learn all the rules. Listen, find out what the sanctioning bodies, WBC, IBF, WBA, WBO, see what they have and learn from them as well, you know. Attend the convention if you can and learn where they have the seminars.
Thank you so much, Mr. Joe Cortez. You are
I'm just a regular guy. I love you guys. And remember, I'm fair, but I'm firm. Keep your guards up at all
Thank
times.
you.
You're
Thank
such a
you.
legend. You are
Thank you
such a
so
legend.
much.
Thank you
I'm
for
so
the
excited.
time that you put aside to talk to us today. You're inspirational,
so-
you're fascinating, and you're an absolute living legend. And we could not be more honored to have had you as our guest here today. And we look forward to seeing you in South Africa soon.
Okay,
Thank you.
God bless. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And also, Yanni
Yes,
Hebler Westhuizen,
yes.
Africa's #1 boxing promoter, for joining us on the show
All
and
right.
joining me talking to the fairest and firmest in the whole world of boxing. There is no man walking the face of the earth that has a higher accolade than Joe Cortez. I thank you
Well,
guys for joining me and honoring this show. This has been the highlight. Tonight is the highlight of my boxing career. I thank you guys so much. Joe Cortez,
Thank you.
Mr. Fair but
Thank you.
Firm.
God bless.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Bye-bye.
And Yanni, thank you very much for
Pleasure.
being with us.
Absolute
CEO
pleasure.
of Fifth Element Promotions. We look forward to seeing what you're going to be doing in the future. And everybody joining us around the world, thank you for tuning in to One on One with Tommy Gunn. Until we see you again.